Hello and welcome to Praying on Purpose. Today is a most extraordinary day. Today is a very special day because late last night, and in some cases early this morning, Jews all over the world gathered to begin reciting Selichos. Selichos, which are recited on a daily basis this time of year, with the exception of Shabbos and Rosh Hashanah, from now through the end of Yom Kippurim. And the Selichos provide us with a daily anchor with which we are able to go ahead and focus our thoughts, our feelings, as we try to intensify our efforts to become closer to the Ribono Shel Olam. They provide us with content which allows us greater opportunities for introspection, for reflection. They provide us the language by which we are able to go ahead and at least begin the process of tshuva. And we know that slichos have different components, different pismonim, different piyutim, but I think we could all agree that the cornerstone, the nucleus perhaps, of slichos is what we call the Yud Gimel Midos Harachamim, the section in which we go ahead and we state and recount the various midos, the drachim, the methods by which HaKadosh Baruch Hu interacts with mankind. The source for this idea comes from a Gemara in Rosh Hashanah Daf Yud Zayin Mebeis, where the Gemara tells us that in the aftermath of the Cheder Egel, after the sin of the golden calf, Moshe Rabbeinu interceded on behalf of the Jewish people and petitioned HaKadosh Baruch Hu, begged HaKadosh Baruch Hu to forgive Bnei Yisrael. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to him, and sort of simulates the process by which they are going to go ahead and reach out to me and connect to me to tshuva. How can this be fixed? And the Gemara says, "Am Rabbi Yochanan ilmale mikrakasav yefshel la'omro." Rabbi Yochanan said, had the Torah not said this, I couldn't say it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu k'shliach tzibur. HaKadosh Baruch Hu kaviyachol wrapped himself in a talus, simulating, demonstrating to Moshe Rabbeinu how the shliach tzibur is supposed to represent the rest of the people. V'herelo l'Moshe seder tefillah, and he demonstrated how slichos works. And he said to him, Kozman she'Yisrael chotin yasu lefanai kaseder hazev ani mocha lehem. Whenever the Bnei Yisrael sin, let them go ahead and yasu lefanai kaseder hazeh. Let them perform this seder, the seder atfila, this sequence that I am demonstrating for you right now. V'ani mocha lehem, and I will pardon them. Last night we said in the Slichos, in one of the introductory paragraphs, Atohu sheyiradata banan kvodecha l'har Sinai v'her'esa darchei tuvcha l'Moshe avdecha. You, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you descended, so to speak, on Har Sinai and showed, you demonstrated to Moshe Rabbeinu, darchei tuvcha, the pathways of your goodness. V'orchos chasadecha gilisalo. You revealed to him, orchos chasadecha, the ways of your great kindness. V'hudata ki ata el rachum v'chanu ner chapayim v'rav chesed u'mabel lehitiv. You taught Moshe, you demonstrated for Moshe, you explained to Moshe that you are a God of compassion, of kindness, that you are er chapayim, and you said to Moshe, tell the Bnei Yisrael, yasu lefanai kaseder hazev ani mocha lehem. But when you think about it, this seems too good to be true. How could it be that we can go ahead over the course of our lives and make repeated mistakes and failures, that we can go ahead and knowingly and intentionally ignore the will of God? We can violate his commandments. We could display complete disregard for the laws of the Torah. And then we go ahead and we just say these words and they operate, they function somehow like a magic formula, that we just say these words and that's it. Everything's fixed. Everything is perfect. It's like nothing ever happened. It seems too good to be true. And the answer is maybe it is too good to be true. Because as many have pointed out, what the Gemara says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan is not that Hashem said to Moshe, tell them to say these words and I will forgive them, but rather, Yasu lefanai kaseder hazev ani mocha lehem. Tell them that they have to go ahead and do kaseder hazeh. Now, what does that mean? So first and foremost, it means to say slichos. There's no question, as we have been saying over the past several weeks, that we should never in any way whatsoever minimize the value of the words that we say. And yes, even though we don't understand how exactly this works and why this works, when we say words, they matter. And when we turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in prayer, there can be great potency to the words that we say. But over here, we are being directed more than just to say words. Yasu lefanai kaseder hazeh is directing us to appreciate, to understand that what's really happening over here is HaKadosh Baruch Hu is offering for us an opportunity to return to him by emulating his ways. The Torah tells us in numerous places that we are supposed to go ahead and follow in the ways of Hashem. V'halachta b'drachav. This is one of the Taryag mitzvos, one of the mitzvos in the Torah. Now, of course, we can't really understand God. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is infinite and completely transcends our understanding. At the same time, we can, and we do, and we are taught throughout the Torah to pay attention to the way in which HaKadosh Baruch Hu interacts with mankind, the way in which HaKadosh Baruch Hu positions himself, and the degree to which he displays a tremendous amount of patience, for example, that Hashem is a kel erech hapayim, that he's full, that chesed ve'emes, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has many, many midos through which he goes ahead and he interacts with us. And even if not, especially at times that we are not deserving of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu continues to demonstrate compassion and kindness and generosity and tolerance. And we go through these descriptions again and again and again, multiple times each and every day during the Yemei Slichos. And we say more times as we get closer to the day of Yom Kippurim. And Yom Kippur itself, which is truly a day which is full of Slichos, is a day in which we repeat these words, but we are repeating them not just to say the words over and over and over again, but we are supposed to be thinking to ourselves, to what extent am I emulating these midos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? In other words, saying slichos is not just saying slichos. We are supposed to, as Rabbi Yochanan says, do slichos. Yasu lefanai kaseder hazeh. These are a set of instructions. This is not merely a magic formula. These are not just words to say. But hopefully by saying the words again and again and again, we are drilling into our minds and in our hearts that this is what I need to do. I need to be a person who can display rachamim. I need to be a person who can learn how to control my temper. I need to be a person who can be forgiving. I need to be the kind of person who can be incredibly kind, even if not especially with those who are not necessarily deserving of it, people who have not acted in a kind manner to me. Rav Nevinsol, in his Sichos on Parshas Veschanan, so he gives a mashal, a parable of sorts, to explain the particular phenomenon that we're describing. And he says, there was a simple individual who came from an uneducated family of sorts, that they lived off in a little village and they lived by themselves. And one day this man became very, very sick. And they didn't know what to do because they had never encountered this type of situation before. They didn't know what the symptoms meant. And so they called for a doctor to come from the big city. And the doctor came and he examined the patient and he understood right away what was going on. He was able to identify the infection and he said to them, okay, here's what you're going to do. And he wrote for them a prescription. And he wrote on the prescription exactly what it is that this patient needs to take. And he says, listen, you have to take this, and this should last you for about a week. And every day you're going to divide the prescription into small parts, and you're going to give it to him with a little bit of water, and you'll see within a few days, you're already going to see a tremendous change, that the patient is going to recover. I know this, I've seen it before. And they asked to just repeat the instructions. What do? We take this paper, yes, and you're going to divide it into 7 parts, yes, and you give him every day with a little water, good, no problem. So the doctor leaves, and the people are left home with their beloved father, brother, husband, whatever the case may be, and they take the paper and they cut it into pieces, just like he said. And every day they give him a little piece of the paper, the prescription that he wrote. And he's not getting better, and they don't understand that. They call for the doctor, and the doctor said, what's going on? I said, we did exactly what you said. He said, tell me what you do. They said, we took the paper and we cut it up into little pieces. And he said to them, fools, don't you understand? This was a prescription. You were supposed to bring this to the pharmacist who's going to go ahead and give you medication, and then you give him the medication. Rav Nevinsol said the same is true when it comes to the recitation of Slichos. Sometimes we look like fools. We come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with a piece of paper, we cut it up, so to speak, into little pieces, and we say, here, we're doing exactly like we were told to do. Rabbi Yochanan said, Yasu lefanai keseder hazeh v'ani mocha lahem. Just do this and I will pardon you. And Rabbi Nevinsol explains that that's not exactly what Rabbi Yochanan teaches. Yasu lefanai keseder hazeh doesn't mean that it's enough to go ahead and just say the words. It's not enough to just go through the motions. We have to go ahead and use this as a prescription for how we can become better people. And so therefore, my friends, the days of Slichos, which are such special days of extraordinary opportunity and potential, days in which we can truly, truly grow as individuals and as a community. This is a time, they're called the Yom Narayim, the days of awe. And there is a certain element of dread and terror associated with this time of year, but it's also a time when we could come closer to the Rebbeinu Shalom. As the Navi says, Dirshu Hashem b'himatzo, kira'u b'yoso karov. This is a time when HaKadosh Baruch Hu avails himself. He makes it easier for us to access him. It makes easier for us to go ahead and become close to him. But the way we do so is through self-improvement. And how do we improve? Through the mitzvah of alachta b'drachav. We study the way in which HaKadosh Baruch Hu acts. He models for us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu emulates the sort of traits that we are supposed to aspire towards. That is what slichos is all about. It's not just about saying slichos. It's not just about saying words. It's not about cutting up a prescription to little pieces and swallowing a little piece of paper every day. It's about living slichos. It's about becoming slichos. It's about emulating these very midos. So we ourselves, mahu rachum, afatas, Chazal say, just how Kadosh Baruch Hu's racham, so to you, we should all become people of rachamim. We should all try to display the midos, the yidgum midos harachamim, and hopefully by doing so, we will hopefully be able to engage in a meaningful and a truly inspiring and a genuine pathway towards tshuva, but we will do so not only by saying words, not just by saying slichos, but by hopefully emulating these very words and slowly but surely becoming greater people. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.